This isn't something that I would typically choose to make a video about, but there are people in my social media, my Instagram, my WhatsApp. For those of you who know me in person and have my number, there are people in my DM telling me, Eddie Grimm, Deadpool 3 was a 10 out of 10, and Robert Downey Jr. is back, so that means Marvel is back.
Are you serious?
Jesus, why are you so easily impressed? Are you really going to act like we have not sat through like 10 really garbage movies and TV shows in the last 4 years since Endgame? Are you not going, are you really going to act like that didn't happen? And just because of one good movie, which I should do a review about, by the way, but just because of one good movie and because of one announcement, now you are a clapping seal just because Marvel has presented you with something so blatantly meant to be superficial to impress you at a very superficial level. Let me tell you, in my opinion, this is very desperate. Having Robert Downey Jr. come back to play a villain, Doctor Doom, is a very desperate move. And I wanted to discuss two things. Number one has to do with the fact that I think the reason why this is happening is because Avengers Endgame is one of the most highest grossing films of all time, right? It made like what 2.7 billion or something. So I think Marvel are aware that their movies are watched by three kinds of people. They are watched by the diehards, the comic book nerds who wear, merch. Ignore mine. Merch. They have the comics, the diehards who have watched everything. They watch all the breakdowns. They've been to like every convention, whatever. Then there's like the casuals. They've watched some of the movies. They know like some of the lore. They are deep in moral, but they're not that deep. But there is a large audience, like section of the audience of Marvel that is just what I like to call normies, or that's the name that I think most people give them. Normies. Normies are just people who, when they hear, oh, there's a new Spider-Man, they watch it. They don't know that it's part of a continuous story. They don't know that it's part of the MCU. They just know that there's a Spider-Man movie. Oh, there's a Black Panther movie. Oh, there's a Captain America movie. So what's really happening is the first Marvel movie, MCU movie, was Iron Man. Now that Iron Man is no longer in the picture, I think Marvel just said, well, back when Iron Man was there, things were good. Now that he's not there, we are failing. So just bring him back because normies, who are the large section of the audience, they make about normies constitute, I think, about 60% of that 2.7 billion that Marvel made for Avengers Endgame. So because there's such a large chunk, I'm sure that Marvel is like, well, if they see Iron Man or familiar faces back, they'll be like, oh, time to go and watch the movie, which is such a cheap trick. It's such a cheap trick. It's that's the thing I hate about Marvel nowadays. Even with something like Deadpool 3, when I watched the trailer, I'm not going to ruin anything about the movie. When I watched the teaser trailer, I was just like, it just felt all too familiar and like they're retreading the same tricks, like sex jokes and they're just the usual things I'm used to. And I think that's just how the Marvel is nowadays. It's going to do all this superficial stuff that appeases to like the common denominator and just pleases people at their basic level. Anyone who's like a die-hard Marvel fan understands that this is just pure desperation. And number two is that it's like Marvel does not understand what made them good. Marvel did not become big because necessarily of Robert Downey Jr. It became good because it had two things: compelling story that was interconnected between the movies and characters that were gripping, that you could root for, that you related with. Like me, I really love Cap. I really love his origin story and everything about him. And he's perfectly cast by Chris Evans. RDJ as Iron Man is perfect casting. Thor, Chris Hemsworth is perfect casting. But now, because of superficial reasons, they've decided, well, Iron Man equals good times for Marvel. Therefore, we bring back the guy who played Iron Man to just play someone else. In fact, in my opinion, bringing back Iron Man would have been less cringe than this. Can you imagine the awkwardness when the Avengers movie is released and then the Avengers have to fight Doctor Doom and they're like, well, you don't look like the guy who used to lead the Avengers. It looks so weird. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they are going to address it. It might work. It might work. It might work, but I think it's a bad idea. Maybe I hear that the Avengers movies are going to be directed by the Russo brothers again. It might work because Russo brothers are very competent. I won't deny. but it will require some level of execution, right? It will require a level of execution that I don't know if it will be able to be pulled off. I can already smell the desperation. Probably there's very huge backlash. I'm sure there's a lot of clapping seals online who are like, "Oh my God, Iron Man is back, but also he's not," you know. But to me, it just smells of desperation. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? To me, this is just a very desperate move. I'm not pleased by it until I see the movie and the way the execution is done. It might work, but it's going to be very awkward because every time you watch that film, your brain is just going to be telling you Iron Man, Iron Man, Iron Man, Iron Man, Iron Man, Tony Stark, Tony Stark. You're not going to be seeing Dr. Doom, you're just going to be Tony Stark, you know, unless they find a way to explain all of it away. Give me your thoughts on this. I'm very curious to know. Some people were in my inbox disturbing me and telling me about how Marvel is back because Robert Downey Jr. is back. It's so cheap. I hate it. I'll see you in the next one.